Ciaran, you've been writing about, I did a wee search on the website. You've been writing about Burren House for a long, long time.
Yeah, over 15 years. Some people would describe Burren House as a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Others would say it's a much-needed facility to help rehabilitate prisoners. I'm sure by the end of this podcast, viewers and listeners will be able to make up their own minds.
I mean, what exactly is it and where exactly is it?
It's an open prison in North Belfast. It's based in the grounds of the old Crumlin Road Jail. Now, it used to be known as the Prisoner Assessment Unit, and it was closed in disgrace in 2010. I was actually involved in the incident which led to it being disgraced and closed in disgrace. I was coming back from a stag weekend in Newcastle, and thought to myself, quite fancied a chicken. So I went and bought one in Tesco on the Antrim Road, and I saw in Tesco a really, really dangerous killer called Ken Callahan walking up the biscuit aisle with a girl holding hands. Now, I was immediately concerned for the girl's safety because Callahan served a life sentence for murdering a neighbour. He broke into her house, he beat her to death. The poor girl was called Carol Gooley. He put a cushion cover over her head, beat her to death with a mallet, and then raped her as she lay dying. Now, Callahan was in and out of the old Prisoner Assessment Unit on several occasions, and he was constantly being thrown back on Maghaberry. He was serving a life sentence, and he was coming to the end of that life sentence. He was being thrown back on Maghaberry for starting relationships with women without telling them about his convictions, which he isn't allowed to do. So I was concerned for the woman who he was holding hands with in the biscuit aisle, because I thought, she obviously doesn't know that he's a necrophiliac and murderer and rapist. And when they got to the counter to pay for their goods, they were joined by another guy who was cuddling a 2-year-old boy. So I secretly filmed Callahan. Sent the footage off to the authorities, and it turns out the woman he was holding hands with wasn't just any old woman. It was a serving prison officer who was supposed to be supervising them on day release, a girl called Ruth Oliver, and the 2-year-old boy who I had filmed being cuddled at the counter by a guy. That guy was a convicted paedophile and murderer known as Francis Ferris, who was also out in day release at the time and who was also supposed to be supervised. So this led to a big investigation in the old Prisoner Assessment Unit. It was closed down in disgrace for 3 years, and then it reopened about 2013, 2014, rebranded as this all-new singing, all-new dancing Burren House, which wasn't going to repeat the mistakes of the old PAU. Now, Burren House can hold up till about 20, 25 prisoners. They're in unlocked cells. When you go into it, it looks like a youth club from the 1980s or 1990s. It reminds me of Sacred Heart Youth Club in North Belfast, which I would have went to as a kid. There's a pool table, a table tennis table, TV, soft chairs, open cells. So prisoners are free to move about and watch TV and do what they want. Their cells aren't locked at night. During the day, they get to leave the prison to go and attend work placements, and sometimes in the evenings for certain prisoners, and at weekends they're allowed out for the entire weekend, and they're allowed to spend time with family and friends. Now, the people who go into Burren House are lifers, nearly always lifers, who've been convicted of the most horrific crimes: murder, multiple rapes, multiple sex assaults. And what the facility does is it is there to try and help prisoners adjust to life on the outside. So if you're coming off a 15-year stretch, say for murder, you have a year or two left in your tariff, put you in the Burren House, get you out every other day to a work placement. If you behave yourself, they'll let you out at weekends, and it's all to do with trying to adapt the life on the outside to prepare you for your eventual release.
And that fails an awful lot of the time. And I have a list of names in front of me, and I think there must be 25 names on the list, so there's clearly a problem there. But I want to do something which I would normally do at the end now, and that is a statement from the prison service, because every time you do a story on this, you ask for a statement from the prison service. They basically issue the same one again and again and again. But so I don't have to say it again and again and again, and I think we should just give them their say at the start. A spokesperson says, while the prison service cannot comment on individuals, of course, Burren House plays a vital role in the rehabilitation and successful resettlement of prisoners back into the community. Research has shown that employment is key to reducing the risk of reoffending for someone leaving prison. Employment can take many forms. In Burren, all prisoners are encouraged to seek paid or voluntary employment. On occasion, securing outside employment can be challenging for a number of reasons, including media interest or the nature of their offence. This will be considered against a comprehensive risk assessment. On occasion, this can mean prisoners working inside Burren House. So that's basically their statement, which they give us again and again and again. But when we look at the list of people and their offences and how often they don't they feel.
The issue with Burren House is, and the reason why the prison service have to keep on issuing that statement again and again and again, is because prisoners moved to Burren House are constantly breaking the rules. And even though what happens is, if you get caught breaking the rules in Burren House, the open prison, you get moved back to Maghaberry. But what's happening is, the people who are breaking the rules are being moved back to Maghaberry just for a short period of time, and then they're back in Burren House. Now, the staff within the prison service call them frequent flyers because they're in Burren House and then they're out, and then they're in, then they're out. So they're given chance after chance after chance, and there's a thought within the prison service that these people who continually break the rules in Burren House, they shouldn't be given chance after chance after chance. If they're going back to Maghaberry, they're sent back to Maghaberry, it should be for a considerable period of time.